Hi everyone, here again with the Good Wine project from Thailand. Today we are sitting here together with one of my good friend Andrea Miotto from the Miotto winemaker. Today we are going to talk about a little bit of this world of the Prosecco wine that sometimes is a little bit misunderstood, but is clearly getting there. I give the first question to Andrea. What do you think about this new wave of understanding, curiosity about so-called natural, organic, but I prefer to call low intervention wine? Andrea.
Okay, hi everybody. It's a good pleasure to talk to you, Paolo, and to all of our friends, and have the chance to explain also this point. So yeah, you're right. There is a lot of interest between people and this approach to this low intervention wine. What does it mean? It means that as long as you have the whole process under control, and so like our family, we own the vineyards, we grow the grapes, we make the vinification, we put this wine into the bottle, so we know step by step what happens, and we have the control of everything from the beginning to the end. And it means that we can really have the more, low impact approach, as we want to live in our vineyards safely, and we want to be sure that what happens in our vineyard doesn't affect anybody who works there and doesn't affect the environment in general.
Which means protect and emphasize the soil, the plants, the local reality.
Yeah. That's our richness is the terroir we have. So we really want to maintain that. We really want to keep it safe and healthy. And we are the first consumers of our wine. So we drink few bottles of our wine. So we want to be sure that what's inside our glasses is, totally safe, and there is nothing going wrong in the whole process. So
it's nice that you say that the word terroir, even it's come from France. Actually, in English, it's very difficult to find the real definition of terroir, but it's to be very confident about it's a mix together, the soil, the plants, and of course, all the environment that create this fantastic product that is Prosecco.
Yeah, and also, of course, human touch in the winemaking. So we grow our grapes. We make the vinification, being very careful. So we had a lot of investment in control, in working very quickly our grapes. So not letting time to have like oxidation, uncontrolled things. And so every single thing is being thought to have the lowest impact with outside substances in the whole process, and doing everything by keeping the right eye to ripening, timing, control about the whole process, and of course trying to maintain our wines just looking like the grapes where they come from, which is the most important thing for us.
Okay, next question that everybody is very curious about this is the fact that how we can separate what is this perception of the Prosecco in the world, like the cheap champagne or something that is not actually connecting to reality. And this incredible wine that is somehow not really understood if it's not explained. For example, you can see that the big difference between a wine that is filtered and wine that's not filtered. This is a second fermentation in the bottle. This is the tank fermentation. But doesn't mean that to make the wine better or worse. It's just a different taste. What do you think?
I think that we had something that is very good, and it's the success that our wine and our region has got. We've been growing up so much in the last, I would say 20, 25 years, but especially in the last 10, 15 years, so much. And of course, it makes, good opportunity for the world to have, an easier accessibility to our wines. But, sometimes I would say there is a little bit of a dilution. So less concentration of what the richness of this wine comes. So sometimes a little bit more numbers and a little bit more a little less.
Quality.
Yeah, I don't want to say that, but
the word quality can be broad, but technically I understand what you say. The difference probably, like you said, is when it's focused more on number, because the request of the popularity of this wine is growing exponentially every year, and maybe is a little bit less concerned about what's coming.
Yeah, I would say it's the world of Prosecco, I would say, is different, and so we have a large production of the DOC, which is made in a little bit of a flatter area where we have, I would say, an easy way to work, so a little bit more mechanization, and it made a little bit more of a standard approach, which doesn't mean that it's not a good wine. It means that it's maybe a little bit easier. But the more you get into the highest appellations, the more you get into the smaller areas of production, the more you get into the single selection, and the more you will find, the proper difference between one glass and the other.
So to clarify, the famous pyramid of the appellation or the denomination of the origin controlled, we start from?
We have Prosecco DOC, which is, in the largest area between Veneto and Friuli. So we always talk about northeast of Italy. And then you can go only in the province of Treviso, staying in the DOC area. And then you go into the DOCG, so it's the Denominazione di Origine Controllata and Garantita, so controlled and guarantee appellation.
Denomination of origin controlled and guaranteed.
Yeah, and in two different areas. So we are in the hills of the province of Treviso. On the right side of the Piave River, we have Aslo and all the Colli Asolani appellation. On the left side, which is basically where we are, is the Conegliano Valdobbiadene DOCG appellation. And then you can go up on the Rive selection, so single village selections. And then, we also have the Cartizze, which is just a small, tiny little hill in the municipality of Valdobbiadene, where, it's considered to be the most important part of the whole appellation. So only a little bit more than 100 hectares. So very small production every year. And this is what we call the pyramid. But it doesn't mean that what's on the base is not good. It's just that what's on the base has a larger production in a larger area. And the more you climb this pyramid, the more you find a more restricted area in the area of production itself, and more controlled and guaranteed process by the certification of what happens.
Last question, and after we can start to talk about every single wine that Andrea produces here. Thailand, how do you feel about this new market for you? Asia, and what's the situation? What you know about Thailand? What you're expecting from Thailand?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting what the approach that Thailand people has with wine. Of course, it's a different culture for us. Basically, we, as Italians, we always have the connection of wine with food. And sometimes not always the same, especially outside the borders of Italy. And so it's very important to understand when people drink our wines, what people match to our wines in terms of food. And of course, what's our typical taste for somebody outside of our area might be something strange. So I understand that probably in your area, red wines have a different, consideration. Instead, it's
more historical than practical.
White wines, especially bubbly white wines, have, of course, a different approach. Maybe not everybody is used to drink that. Mm-hmm. Probably they know it by name, so it might be, let's just say champagne, or let's just be Prosecco. But, it's interesting how I feel the interest from people to understand the differences. And I'm really happy to what's happened. So we started just in the beginning with just one wine. Mm-hmm. And now we see that we have interest in all of our labels.
Especially the one with the low sugar. One thing's very important to remember. Most of the wine that Andrea produce has very low level of sugar, in which we can arrive at the Profondo, that is this, and with the Rive, that is 0 sugar. I repeat, 0 sugar, proved, certified. So when sometimes in the market people tell you, oh, it doesn't have sugar, it's very important to remember this. Low intervention means that also the sulfitis, some people is really, it's wrong to call allergic, but the sensitivity to the sulfitis sometimes can create a reaction. Andrea is actually is famous for his wine with a very low quantity of sugar.
Yeah, we try to have, it really depends on the single label. They come also from different vineyards. So most of our vineyards have very good points of ripening where we can have good structure and go into the bottle with a very low amount of sugar that gives, the sugar level, the residual sugar needs to balance the wine sometimes. And in some areas where we have like the coldest climate, where we have the highest acidities, it's very necessary. For example, I would say in the extra dry wine, which, despite the name extra dry means that it has a little bit of more, let's say, sweetness or roundness. It's necessary to balance the fresh, crispy, sharp acidity that comes out of the vineyard. So our approach is like tailor-made. Okay, so every single wine comes out from a different cuvée of vineyards, and we know it because we've been growing these grapes. We know it because we've been vinifying these grapes, and in the end, in the cellar, we taste it, we blend it, and we understand what is the best result, what suits that wine. Okay. Maybe I can go with a t-shirt or I can go in a suit and tie. It really depends on what's my personality, and we know the personality of all of our grapes, and so we can make different labels. And always, of course, you say the amount of sulfites is very low because we try to have a process, like we said before, all controlled, and where we can really try to reduce the moments where we have the risk of having oxidation or having problems with the wine. So we low down the amount of sulfites that we can use. And the residual sugar is just something that is depending on the single type of wine, okay, where it comes from.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Now follow for the next episode in which we're talking about every single wine of Andrea Miotto from the Miotto family. Just a reminder, this is a good wine project from Thailand. Thank you so much. Sawadee Kap. Can you say Sawadee Kap?
Sawadee Kap.
Thank you. Goodbye.